This is the second part of Am I Invincible? The link to the first part is in the description below. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to like and subscribe. Morong Shui noticed some movements nearby. She turned to look and saw Chen Pingan, who was walking the other way, and called him. Chen Pingan looked back, asking why they came back so soon and if he could do something for them. Morong Shui then showed her grandpa to him. Seeing Grandpa Morong kneeling on the ground, Chen Pingan was alarmed since the old man was the true ancestor of the mountain sect. He could not afford to offend the old man, so he quickly walked over. Morong Yunhai noticed Chen Pingan approaching and warned his father to control himself once he saw the lingering key around him. Grandpa Morong turned his head and noticed someone. However, his whole body instantly trembled. He was stronger than everyone around and noticed the key of Chen Pingan all over the place. When Chen Pingan greeted Grandpa Morong, the old man kowtowed at the same time. It was another mess. Chen Pingan immediately helped the old man stand. Despite the pressure, Grandpa Morong now understood that Chen Pingan wanted to cultivate himself as a mortal. After settling the old man down, he invited them inside. Everyone was excited to drink another cup of tea. It was then Chen Pingan showed them a basket of vegetables. He would make a meal this time. Morong Shui was instantly delighted. At the dining table, everyone had a pouty face. Embarrassed, Grandpa Morong told them he will pay them once they went back. Morong Yunhai replied he did not care about the spirit stones. Suddenly, Grandpa Morong felt tremendous suppression, and his head was forcefully smacked down against the table. He realized he had touched a pitcher which was a treasure. After carefully looking around, he discovered that the table was filled with treasures. Morong Yunhai immediately laughed, making the old man erupt in anger. And in the end, he was helpless. This time, Chen Pingan sneezed. And the meal was almost finished cooking. Nonetheless, he was choking because of the pepper. Outside, Morong Shui immediately smelled the aroma. Zhang Qingxian then felt an incredible power bursting within him. In the next second, he had broken through. Everyone was in disbelief. They greedily smelled the aroma and found it filled with aura. Soon, the meal was served. Everyone was immediately mesmerized. Chen Pingan hoped they would be polite, but right now, he had a bad feeling. Fortunately, he cooked a lot of rice. He went to get the rice with a happy smile, but when he came back, he was immediately petrified. Everyone's mouth was filled to the brim, and after seeing him, they instantly requested another bowl. Their words had now pissed him off. He was confused and shocked. The girl did not even pay attention to her image. And soon, all the dishes were swept clean. The rice was also devoured. Everyone's stomach was now filled to the brim. He was thoroughly petrified as he looked at the plates which were licked clean. Everyone also had a breakthrough in their respective cultivation. Grandpa Morong could not help but be emotional. He immediately kowtowed to express his gratitude. But Chen Pingan was confused, and told Grandpa Morong that what he had done was not worth gratitude. The old man was immediately excited and asked to eat his food again. Now, he was totally annoyed, so he directly threw them outside. Morong Yunhai told his father not to say such a shameless thing. As a result, the old man sent him a slap. He was only excited and accidentally said such words, and he was assured that the senior would not be angry. Unknown to them, Chen Pingan was tremendously angry for their shamelessness. He did not even take a single bite of rice. In the forest, the old man then walked away and told everyone to cultivate. Everyone behind immediately laughed. He was further embarrassed. Fortunately, his granddaughter agreed with him, although within his mind, he knew how good it was to only eat and become stronger. The old man instructed to tell the sect members about the new ancestor. Right then, Zhang Qingxian received an emergency message, telling him not to return to the sect. It was his father's voice. Grandpa Morong thought it was the 1,000 words of secret voice. Zhang Qingxian affirmed and said it was the most urgent contact method of his sect. In the illusionary moon sect, thunder rumbled and lightning flashed in the sky. A man wanted to bury the old man in front of him with his sect for destroying his legs. Zhang Xiaofeng, now on his knees, reasons he only punished the man for annihilating a whole village and did not kill him directly. The man questions if he was not afraid to die. Zhang Xiaofeng answers there was no harm in death. He was glad since his son, who was not present today, would avenge him. But right then, his son happily called out to him, which made him throw up a mouthful of blood. He immediately scolded his son, asking if he returned for dinner. His son answers it would be unjustifiable for him not to come after such an event. Then he mysteriously smiles. The one who came was only in the first stage of the divinity realm. His father was confused. Even the man on the flying platform believes it was not easy to call another Divinity Realm person like him. But the next second, his heart pounded out of his chest the moment Grandpa Morong appeared on his back. He questions who it was. Grandpa Morong extended his hand. It blazed and he placed it on the man's petrified face. The flame then erupted, leaving the man helpless. Zhang Xiaofeng then asks his son who the man was. It's Uncle Morong, who was in the same realm as the man he had killed. Grandpa Morong stepped out of the mess. He tells everyone it is fortunate he came in time. Zhang Xiaofeng then realized it was his fellow and asks how he became strong. With a nostalgic look, he prepared to start a long story. But when he remembers he lose the bet because he did not believe at first, he is embarrassed. He could only tell directly about an immortal living within his sex jurisdiction, and after eating the immortal meal, he achieved a breakthrough. Zhang Xiaofeng wanted to see the senior. Grandpa Morong asks why his friend did not suspect. He then answers that his son's power had increased despite being trash, and with their years of friendship, he would believe his words. Grandpa Morong tells him that he just left the senior's house and it would not be very good to bother him. Zhang Xiaofeng reveals a face full of doubt. He asks if he was being lied to, but they suddenly felt a sudden change. The spiritual pressure startled everyone. Grandpa Morong realized it was coming from the senior's place. He was excited to have another dinner and grabbed his friend to go. They immediately disappeared on the spot. Left alone, Zhang Qingxian could only wish to be taken. In Chen Pinggan's yard, the chicken detected some trouble. It then heard the sounds of the old men whispering to each other. Zhang Xiaofeng asks why he always talked about the dinner in the senior's house. He then looked at the sky. It was a huge hole called Qi Quake, and a secret cave might appear. It would produce a secret realm and raise the entire town to the ground. He wonders if the senior did it. Grandpa Morong denies it since the senior cultivates as a mortal. He then turns around to leave, deciding to save as many people as possible. Right then, a rumble sounded on the pond within Chen Pinggan's courtyard. The old men immediately looked back. This time, a dragon's head emerged from the pond. The next second, it flew outside, charging toward the black hole in the sky. The dragon coiled and bit the black hole. Zhang Xiaofeng was amazed. Grandpa Morong tells him there was also a phoenix together with it. He was stunned in place. Only an immortal emperor can command both terrifying entities. In a nearby forest, the space rippled. A sword then emerged out of it. It escaped from the immortal world. Right then, Chen Pinggan found it. The sword thought he would be crushed by its aura since he was just a mortal. But the next moment, the sword was shocked. Chen Pinggan held it with ease. And after taking a good look, the sword was frightened. Chen Pinggan was a terrifying entity in its eyes. The sword wonders how could there be a strong man in the mortal world. Noticing the sword's trembling, he thought it was a magic weapon. He put it in his basket and sell it later for a good price. The sword was insulted since many strong people wanted to serve it in the past. Seeing the medicines were only first grade, the sword was further disappointed. It now believes Chen Pinggan is just a mortal. It further thinks that since it was injured, it was easily picked up. But right then, the sword was stunned. The hoe looked at it as though it was an ant. Chen Pinggan notices his basket's movement. He wonders why it moves around. Inside the basket, the hoe told the sword not to move. The sword immediately followed the command, addressing the hoe as the big boss. It then realized that the hoe was an artifact. Chen Pinggan glances at the sky and also notices the black hole. Nearby, the old men and other cultivators approached the black hole while riding on their flying swords. Right then, the black hole buzzed. Grandpa Morong immediately stopped everyone. The next second, the hole widened, and a pillar of light beamed toward the ground. Chen Pinggan saw this scene, and wonders if it was the so-called secret realm. A new task appeared. He hoped it would not ask him to solve the situation. Contrary to his expectation, it was only a lottery reminder. He was relieved. Knowing it was not related to the beam of light, he decided to draw. The button lights up. A small portal materializes before him. After the extraction, a flute then appeared. He was happy to receive the item. Deciding to try it at home, he put the flute in his basket. The sword immediately noticed the flute. It was another artifact. It could only pray that everything was an illusion. In Chen Pinggan's home, his things were in a corner. The sword was now petrified. The whole hose was full of artifacts. The peach tree was greater than the ones the immortal emperor owns. Goldfish in the pond was stronger than his dragon. The chickens were stronger than his phoenix. Chen Pinggan's tools looked at the sword with disdain, declaring they would destroy it if not for their master. After hearing that the sword insulted their master as a mortal, another pot scolded the sword angrily. On the corner, the sword could only beg mercy for being silly. In the nearby forest, Morong Shui chanted a spell. She then delivered a punch. However, her attack shatters after hitting the pillar of light. She immediately grunted in pain. Grandpa Morong tells her that even a second level of the divinity realm will be powerless against it. He then wonders if a secret word is needed for its entrance to appear. Zhao Xiaofeng thinks it will be troublesome and asks if they should inform the senior. However, Grandpa Morong believes that the senior wants them to solve it by themselves. He then says that later, the senior will probably come. At that moment, the air around them changes. Everyone is startled by this sudden gust of wind. In Chen Pingyan's house, he is complaining about the noise. Annoyed, he could not sleep and threw a tantrum. Hearing his master's sleep is troubled, Kitchen Knife decided to stop the disturbance. He then transforms into his humanoid form. Now, he has a mission to accomplish. The gust of wind continues to whirl around the pillar of light. Everyone immediately saw the incoming figure and thought it was the senior. Unknown to them, Grandpa Morong already knew it was Kitchen Knife. After he arrives, he is surprised to see the pillar of light. He finds it interesting but he decides to destroy it nonetheless. He then gathers terrifying energy in his finger. The next second, a spirit sword shot through the sky. The crimson beam slashed at the pillar of light. After this, he discovers the pillar of light was trash. It easily cracked and fissures spread. Everyone hurriedly shields themselves from the shockwave. The terrifying force blasted the ground open. On the crater, a ball of light is seen amidst the smoke. Inside the ball of light, someone was held by chains. Suddenly, all her chains start to break. After a moment, she opens her eyes. Once she sat upright, she immediately smiled. Outside, Kitchen Knife immediately notices something unusual. While everyone is excited to check out what is inside, Zhao Xiaofeng discovers a frightening aura. And soon, everyone felt a devil's arrival. A delicate hand emerges from the ball of light. This scene immediately surprises Kitchen Knife. Eventually, she came out. She has arrived in the Tianyuan realm. Grandpa Morong was shocked after seeing the immortal girl. The next moment, however, he becomes excited after seeing another immortal. This time, Morong Shui grabs her grandfather's sleeve. After asking what to do, Grandpa Morong tells her that only the Kitchen Knife is their hope. He says hello to the little girl. He slowly approached her and asked about her identity. She is immediately angered after being called out. She jumped into the air, and she charged toward him with the intent to kill. He immediately chanted a spell, and cast it at her fist. Her attack stops midway and a hate-filled expression appears on her face. While smiling, he tells her that her cultivation is rubbish. Everyone is stunned by this sudden statement. He decided to probe her memories. The light flashed before her eyes. Her past was then revealed. She was facing a cruel man when she was a child. The palm strike hit her and she heavily fell. Kitchen Knife showed a hint of pity in his eyes. Right now, the girl has lost consciousness. He instructed everyone to keep everything a secret, and if something gets out, the consequences would be dreadful. Grandpa Morong immediately accepts the command. He believes that the girl would be thoroughly investigated. Looking at his granddaughter, he instructs to tell all disciples to keep the event secret. She worriedly receives the instructions. Since the area is devastated, she wonders if they could hide the news. Kitchen Knife comes back. The chicken immediately asks him why he brought the girl. He did not answer and called out to the peach tree. Its leaves rustled, and then it transforms into its humanoid form. Upon seeing the girl, her eyes suddenly widened. She was shocked after discovering the girl's past. A flower began to materialize in her palm. Soon, the flower bloomed. It was placed on the girl's head. After a moment, it enlarged and engulfed the girl inside. The girl's chaotic aura started to subside. Right then, the immortal sword took a peek outside. Its eyes instantly widened in surprise. The girl it saw was Su Ling, the immortal emperor's daughter. Time passed and the girl woke up. At that instant, the peach tree and the chicken find the girl cute. She wonders where she is. The peach tree taps the girl's forehead and says she is now in her home and the master will be her big brother. When the sword witnessed the scene, it inwardly laughed, thinking about the immortal emperor's situation right now. In the immortal realm, a token placed on the table emitted some mysterious smoke. The immortal emperor discovered his daughter had regained consciousness. He decided someone to find her. A group of men arrives before him. He commanded everyone to find his daughter and the reward will be that world's throne. Morning came into Chen Pingyan's house. But he is still slumped on his bed. It has been a while since he slept like a log. Right then, a small hand reaches for him, asking him to wake up. He opened his eyes and was surprised to be called brother. A cute girl appeared before him, telling him the sun was at its peak. He scrambled backward and asked the little girl's name and why she was in his room. The little girl introduced herself as Su Ling and her home was here. He thought the girl meant her home was his small town's location, and he finds it impossible since he had not seen the cute girl in the past. He then taps her head and tells her he would take her to find her parents. As they are going out, he reminds her to follow him and not get lost. She approaches him and holds his hand, asking if he's alright. He is fine with it and he brings her to town, asking her to show him the direction of her house. An hour later, he is dumbfounded. They arrive at his house again. He immediately asks her if she remembered her parents' appearance. But she answers negatively and was about to talk about the peach tree. On the side, the peach tree immediately breaks into a cold sweat, and hurriedly throws a stone. It hit the little girl in the head, making her cry in pain. He was alarmed and asks her if she was okay. He immediately thought she hurt her head in the past and caused confusion in her memory. The little girl pouted and sadly asks him if he did not want her anymore. He hurriedly pats her head, denying her words, and decides to take care of her until her parents come. Right then, a voice was heard outside, asking if he is home. After opening the gate, Grandpa Morong introduced Zhao Xiaofeng, who wanted to meet the senior. Zhao Xiaofeng cups his fists and greets Chen Pingan, thanking him for his grace. He now verified the truth of how powerful the senior is. Chen Pingan scratches his face, wondering what is the meaning of the old man's words who he did not meet before. He thought that another person had come to his place. Su Ling breaks his thought and asks him who they were. Grandpa Morong is surprised and asks who is the little girl. He happily introduces her as his sister and an ordinary person like him. After his urging, the little girl then greets everyone. The old men were stunned after seeing another powerful person. Seeing the girl's aura, they could not believe she was just an ordinary person. She looks a lot younger than Morong Shui, who is the youngest genius in town. The old men believe the girl is another immortal cultivator. However, Grandpa Morong thinks it is normal since they are siblings and he could only imagine how powerful their parents are. Chen Pingan then invites the old men to eat and says it is fortunate since it is only the two of them, so the food will be enough. Zhao Xiaofeng politely declines, claiming it will be shameless to eat at the senior's house. But Grandpa Morong was quick to respond and agreed to Chen Pingan's invitation, covering his friend's mouth. Afterward, they entered the courtyard, and Su Ling immediately offered to cook for them. At the dinner table, Chen Pingan is surprised to know that the little girl knows how to cook and wonders how will it taste. He then reminds Grandpa Morong that there is a child and he should be mindful of how he eats. Grandpa Morong is stunned, and as Zhang Xiaofeng teases him, he retorts at his friend, telling him to control himself later if he has the ability. Right then, the aroma pervaded the air, and Su Ling came out with the meal she cooked. After opening the pot, a brilliant light shone from within. Zhang Xiaofeng immediately wonders if it is the legendary heavenly treasure. Later, both old men slump on their seats with their bellies bulging. The two devils finished another sack of his rice. Although he is unwilling to admit it, the girl's cooking skills are much better than his, so he asks her where did she learn to cook. She answers that she did not know but finds herself able to cook a lot of dishes. Hearing this, Chen Pingan is happy after thinking he did not need to cook again. The plate is even crying in joy after tasting a real meal. On the side, the kitchen knife could only complain about the noise. In the dining hall, Zhang Xiaofeng finally breaks through and reaches the first stage of divinity. Grandpa Morong is not only comfortable with the meal's good taste but it also solidified his cultivation. His tears trickled down his face as he remembered his granddaughter and thought she is so inferior to Su Ling, making him extremely envious. He grabs Chen Pingan and demanded an exchange, making another mess. In another place, Morong Shui suddenly sneezes. She wonders who is scolding her and thought of her father and grandfather who are gone when an important matter has cropped up. She then looks at the sky. A huge floating ship has arrived. After landing on the ground, the imperial princess Luo Lanqing came down and greets Morong Shui. She greets back and compliments Luo Lanqing, saying she is getting more and more beautiful. Luo Lanqing then approaches closer, looks at the massive breasts, and points out that Morong Shui is getting bigger and bigger, making her blush. Right then, another man comes down. He is Luo Xiaojie. Annoyance appeared on Morong Shui's face and asks the man why he came and immediately warns the princess to stay away from him. Luo Xiaojie quickly defends himself, saying he is a good man, and then whispers to Morongshue that he would bully her again if she acts tough. Morongshue pouts and retorts that she could beat him now and dares him to bully her again if he has the ability. Thereafter, she released a glimpse of her aura, making Luo Xiaojie jump back in surprise. He falls down on the ground and stammers, asking her why she is so strong now. With a smug look on her face, she insults him for being weak against her despite being one of the top 3 geniuses in the kingdom. Right then, the princess grabs Morongshue's hands and asks her if the matter of her getting stronger is related to the spirit sword, which made Morongshue confused. Luo Lanqing then reveals she came searching for it. She explains that a while ago, she came to an auction with her father and that night, they admired a mountain from the top of her attic. It is said that the mountain is a local attraction with countless natural treasures and resources and is also the basis for the development of the city. However, a spirit sword suddenly passed across the mountain. Luo Lanqing is dumbfounded and guesses the sword is deployed by a high-level cultivator when practicing martial arts. It cut off countless peaks, but its power remained unchanged. She adds that not only she but many strong cultivators have arrived in order to search for the spirit sword. Morongshue awkwardly reveals that it was not a spirit sword but sword intent sent by the spirit sword. Her words immediately made Luo Lanqing's eyes sparkle. Morongshue then looks at Luo Xiaojie and hummed with annoyance. She grasps Luo Lanqing away to talk, leaving the man begging to come with them. And as they flew away, Luo Xiaojie could only call for them with immense sadness. While flying, Morongshue tells the story about what had happened and completely forgot to keep the event secret. Luo Lanqing is in disbelief after hearing the news. After the princess asks if she is lying, Morongshue denies it and decides to take the princess to meet the senior. Right now, Chen Pingan sits in his courtyard with a flute in hand and wonders if he still remembers the tune since it has been a long time since he played it. Suddenly, Morongshue's head peeks at the gate and asks for permission to come in. He agrees and asks her the reason for coming. Morongshue called Luo Lanqing, but right now she is completely scared. She senses the powerful eyes watching her and feels her whole being has been seen through. Morongshue pats her shoulder to comfort her, assuring her that they are invited so they would not be harmed. She then pushed Luo Lanqing forward and introduces her to him. Luo Lanqing reveals a bashful look and stammers. She greets him and thought Chen Pingan really has a high cultivation level. She expects him to be a gray-haired old man and never thought he would be so young and handsome. Chen Pingan asked the girl to relax and she did not need to be polite to him. He thought that although he is being called senior, he really did not have the slightest strength. Behind the peach tree, Su Ling's head pokes out, asking who the visitors are. Seeing the little girl, Morongshue immediately asks who she is, so he introduced Su Ling as his sister. The little girl greets the older sisters with a cute look on her face. Both of them are shocked at how strong his little sister is. But at the same time, they find her cute, so they immediately hug her together. On the side, he coughs awkwardly, thinking it is not good to look at them despite it being a nice view. So he decides to continue his focus on his flute. And after a moment, he played the flute, and mesmerizing melodies spread in the courtyard. And it immediately caught Morongshue's attention.